a variety of animal models. It doesn't care, you have the IgG, IgM, IgA, it detects all of them as long as you have neutralizing activity. And you can detect serum from cat and dog and any other animals as well using the same thing. Okay. Um, Therefore, CPAS should be a kit of choice for neutralizing antibody test for these applications. And then also for serology studies, CPAS can deliver all information other serology tests can deliver, such as who has been previously infected. But in addition, it can also provide information neutralizing antibody presence or not presence. Therefore, CPAS should be the kit of choice for any of such a type of serology study. Okay, so I think this is the end of my talk. Again, I thank you very much for listening. If there's any questions that we can discuss. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zhu. Amazing and great job, not only for your talk, for your work, for the collaboration between you and Dr. Wang. I have so many questions I want to ask, but time is very limited. I know audience have questions, so I just put it in a very short question. The first one, I think I get your topic first. It's fresh. So the neutralizing, your kit, the CPAS, thinking about, so we have 330 million people, population in US. We're all talking about vaccination so much. We have to increase the production. Shouldn't they have the neutralization test first, antibody test first, before they give the vaccine? That would save a lot of vaccine, and that's much easier.
Well, if you ask me whether 300 million people should be tested, yes. I would say yes. It's a big business to us, right? But I think it's which is not impossible and also not necessary. Because of the infected so far in the U.S., even in like New York and California, some the most severe pandemic areas, I don't think a lot of people, including myself, we stay in there for 9 months. We didn't get anything, right? So if all people do the test, I would say probably 95 or even high number percentage of people are negative. So probably not necessary to do it. However, vaccination, especially now in some of those vaccines are developed to the third phase, which is you using like a 15,000 volunteer to do the test or more. And in those tests, I would really think if they can use our kits to monitor and test before and after the neutralizing activities, I think that would be great. And then I think this is highly recommended. That can tell how good the vaccination works, okay? Because before you vaccine, you don't have the neutralizing antibody, but after that, you get it. And then again, also how long the neutralizing antibody stay, 2 months, 3 months, or 6 months, or 12 months. I think that's really. And then lastly, I think Linfa probably will add some comments. He works in virus laboratories for a long time, so he can tell you more about this.
Yeah. So
Dr. Wang, you want to add something?
Yeah. So I think for low prevalence countries, to test the whole nation before vaccination, it's going to be difficult to justify. But if you think you already have antibody, you should definitely do that before vaccination, because not only you're wasting money, but also maybe we don't understand the process, whether the vaccination will actually exacerbate your future infection. One area though, we did not talk too much is this convalescent plasma therapy, okay? So in Singapore, SVNT or CPAS already play a very important role. Even in USA right now, people donate this plasma and it's centralized. Mayo Clinic, for example, have 60,000 of human plasma, and they try to use a conventional virus neutralization test to determine the titer, the level of neutralizing antibodies. So we say you should do CPAS is much faster, but that's for the donors. Consider recipient, right? If you have a PCR positive and you say you infected with COVID-19 and your condition is deteriorating, and the doctor decides to use convalescent plasma as a therapy. But importantly, the neutralizing antibody in different infected patients, the dynamics, the kinetics is different. So we have cases in Singapore that people got infected when they get the symptom, the neutralizing antibody is already very high. So for CPAS, we can determine that in the hospital within an hour and tell the doctor, say, forget it. Don't give the convalescent plasma to that patient because that patient has a high neutralizing antibody than the donor, all right? But in most of the country, even with advanced like in USA, they are doing this blinded in the dark. Basically, they just gave a convalescent plasma without knowing the recipient because you cannot wait. If you send their blood to a lab to do neutralization test, it takes 3-5 days. By then, it's too late. So they just give this blindly and in the dark. So that's one area, at least, the CPAS can change the really practice. Over.
Thank you very much. I have 2 more questions, and then before we open to the public. So the other one is at the end of Dr. Wang's talk, you mentioned the zoonotic effect, the reverse transfection from human to bats. So it's possible they also be transfected to the intermediate hosts, right? And then to the bats.
Oh, yeah. So animals is basically susceptible. I mean, human to bat, contact is rare, right? But if you go to a raccoon dog, for example, in USA, and unfortunately for coronavirus is a fecal oral is the main route of transmission in the wild. So you can easily imagine a contamination of environment, right, with the fecal material, and that if the bats feed on contaminated, food, and then you get transmission. So yes, you don't need a direct human-animal contact. The contaminated environment is enough for transmission.
That concept gives me goosebumps. I don't know how we can control that. And the other question I would like to ask is, because so many people in audience are so much interested in cancer research. You mentioned something, bat and cancer, bat and reducing inflammation. Do you think cancer and inflammation, they has any relation, like cancer-induced inflammation or inflammation-induced cancer?
I think it works both ways, right? So, I mean, it's very complicated bat biology. So we have a grant now. We haven't, because for the past 7 years, we did inflammation, but mainly in the context of infection. So we now just started to do cancer and aging. Aging is, I think, equally or more interesting than cancer because even for healthy people, you are having chronic inflammation, especially at our age group, we're all worried about the chronic inflammation. And bats really have a way to handle that. And we have a pattern on this. I cannot talk too much. We try to really learn from bats to have a gentler anti-inflammatory strategy to help human health. Yeah, including cancer.
Very nice, very nice. So I think CBA is going to have a topic like a theme for cancer research, prevention, detection, and updated medication. Those things. So in the future, we're going to have similar talk like this. Yeah. You're very welcome to come back. And Dr. Zhu too, I'm sure CBA will put both of you on our list. And also, I hope for your busy schedule, put CBA's event on your list sometimes. And now I think people have some questions in the chat room. I will give Dr. Wang and Dr. Zhu's choice. You pick which one you want to ask or you want to answer or interesting to all of us. Go ahead.
So I go first because the first question is on pangolins. Why pangolin? Is it because it lives closer to human, or is it because also resistant to virus? I think neither of these. The pangolins were think it is because they detected similar virus in pangolin. The other is that, as I said, pangolin is protected animal, but it's the largest volume of illegal trading. So there's lots of illegal trading happening. When you have illegal trading, the animal can go from, for example, Thailand, Malaysia to China to Wuhan. So that's where I think people think the pangolin is important. The other question that is posed to me and Li is will this CPAS be a good companion test to check the upcoming vaccine efficacy? Of course, this is I always say to Li, the market has not started yet. Once you have a vaccine, a large producer mass vaccination, then I think this will be a perfect companion test. And so we are working very hard with AstraZeneca, Moderna, and all the major producers, try to convince them to say, you should market this CPAS as a companion test. Yeah. And the last question I have is, what type of bat immune cells COVID-19 result in? The short answer is we don't know. So bat research is very difficult, and in the wild, you have this virus may infect, but to catch that moment, as I said, is difficult. So we have a BSS3 bat colony, so we are trying to do infection studies, but we don't have the data yet. Over.
Dr. Li, do you have anything to add?
Well, I just say some people ask whether CPAS available in the US. For the research, this is available now, actually available any place in the world. However, because of regulatory, we have to go through the US EUA, FDA approval. So it's still pending. We'll hopefully we'll get it, in maybe 1 month's time frame. That's it for